Greetings, family, and welcome to another episode of Cultivate Lyfe. I'm excited today because we are going to be discussing womb care and alternative holistic practices when it comes to child's birth and caring for yourself, ladies. So I hope you're ready for today's episode. I have my special guest, Amari, better known as Love, and she's from the Love and Peace Wellness Center and a certified holistic doula. So I'm excited. Be sure you share out that link with everybody. And we'll be right back right after this. All right, family, and we are back. And welcome, Amari. How are you?
Greetings. Thank you so much. I'm fine. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Thank you for coming on today's show. I'm really excited to get started with today's topic. I think it's very important that we understand, as women, how to take care of ourselves and our bodies. So before we jump in, definitely introduce yourself to the people. Let them know who you are and what you do.
Yes, I am. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I do want to say that so it didn't all just like come about for me to be who I am today. I'm like born and raised in Columbus, Ohio, moved to South Florida, and had a journey of becoming who I am today. And because of my journey and my experiences, it brought me to what I do today. So I first started in my background history of being a medical assistant, medical biller and coder, and I did that for about 10 years. Within the 10 years, I found out that I had ovarian cyst. And it was just like like a painful experience when I found out that I had cyst. And the cyst is what led me to eating different, just implementing a more healthier lifestyle for myself. So it went from me having ovarian cysts and also not being able to have a child to starting like Love Fruit Blossoms to be a yoni yoga instructor, and then moving forward into my life by implementing the healthy strategies of womb care cycling. And that's with the vaginal steaming, the detoxing, and the yoni yoga and sound all together. So in that process, I've like helped so many women implement the same strategy that I implemented for myself, and have became a doula. So that's like a short little, thing as to what I've done and how I've become today.
Right. Well, that's amazing. I think it's amazing that sometimes, we have these things that happen to us in life. Like you said, you had your own journey, experiencing having blocked fallopian tubes and cysts, and that contribute to you, learning more and, like you said, changing your diet, doing more of a holistic approach to, wellness that made you kind of start on this journey. So, what is it for you that you think that a lot of women don't know about themselves and their bodies, just from like your experience, that we should be thinking about and tapping into and becoming aware of to maybe prevent these things, or even speaking to our daughters about and educating ourselves on?
Well, just from like life's experience and being able to learn what to become aware of, it was first, I was so unaware of my body. Everything I ate, I wanted it. Like everything I wanted to put in my mouth, I did, and it was not being aware of that changed a lot of things. So what made me more aware was like an experience that I had before of reoccurring yeast infection, BV. That was like a reoccurring thing to me. And I tried to figure out, what am I not doing that is making this come back? Like, what's the cause for it? And that too was like one of the things that like I had to really even tell my daughter, like, listen, now you have your period. Here's what to expect. I want you to journal for 1 year, you know, how your period comes. If it's light or heavy, if it's short, if it's 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, 10 days, however many days, you know, first by starting on how your cycle comes, observing your cycle, observing, the consistency of your vaginal fluid, because it changes throughout the month. You know, it goes from a thin to a thickness right before your period comes. And then after that, you know, then you have your cycle. So observing your menstrual cycle, how often it comes, how long it comes, the vaginal secretions of your vagina, and also the smell of it. Those are like a few things to observe about your body. And also, what are you craving? What type of foods are you eating? And are they causing issues for your vagina and for your skin and for your emotions? So if anything, it would be to focus on, well, observe how your menstrual cycle is coming and what's going on.
Right. And I think that's an interesting correlation, because I think for many of us, we don't really see the effects of our diet and food and how that contributes to just our overall health. And especially women, you know, sometimes, you know, they make the joke, oh, you know, women, you know, they smell fishy down there, or this. But a lot of it has to do with, you know, your diet and what you're eating. So how can you let people know like how the diet relates to sort of that feminine, like the things that's to be aware of in terms of the female, in terms of the odor, the discharge, as you spoke about, and the smells? Like, I know you said you had your own journey with, you know, having to change your diet. So what was it like before? And then now, what is it like now?
Mm-hmm. So, and I'm just going to speak off a personal basis for it, because for some women, I know they can relate, but I just want to like explain my journey and a little bit of, you know, touch bases on some other women's experience. So like, you know, when you're eating fried foods, like let's go with fried foods, because fried chicken used to be my thing. Fried pork chops used to be my thing. And I never like fried grill, all of that, rice and beans, all that's like was my favorite dishes back then. And that was around the time when I would get reoccurring BV, reoccurring yeast infection, and just really couldn't understand it until one day I said, I'm not even going to eat the grill anymore. I'm not going to eat pork anymore. And I just started changing. And I noticed that there was a different texture in my vaginal fluids. And then it was like, okay, this is becoming better, because now I'm not experiencing having so much of the way that I'm eating. I'm not having a certain odor. I'm not having reoccurring BV. A lot of times I would eat ice cream, and ice cream, anything that's like with sugars, they will offset the pH balance. And I was not even understanding that until one day I just cut all sugars out of my diet. Like I had to read every label. That meant high fructose corn syrup. That meant stevia, regular sugar, all sugars, like anything sweet. I just cut it all out and noticed that there was a big difference in my pH balance. And I'm like, okay, so sugar, no matter if it's a sweetener or not, seems to offset the pH balance of the vagina, and even alcohol and wine. So those are some things that I had discovered, and it has been like a journey to discover like, oh, I got to cut that out too. So.
That's amazing. Now, today marks 3 years of the work that you've been doing. So, congratulations. I just
Thank
feel like it's
you.
an alignment on your 3-year anniversary. I'm talking about the work that you do with women. And I know that you are soon to be an author of the book Womb Care Cycling. So that's another congratulations that goes out to
Thank
you.
you.
Now tell us, what is womb care cycling?
Okay, so womb care cycling is the processes all combined together that helps the woman to reach her higher potential of self, health, wealth, and just overall wellness in her life. Like I said, the monitoring of the cycle, learning when it comes, how it's supposed to be, also evaluating the type of foods that you eat, learning that your cycle is a moon cycle itself. So it's not just the 30 days and the 31 days, that there's different moon cycles that we all experience, but also learning that our menstrual cycle is moon cycles, full moon, new moon, lunar moon, those things. So, and it's also the processes of yoni yoga, when to utilize yoni yoga within your moon cycle to know when to utilize a vaginal steam and also vaginal detoxing, and implementing sound into all of that.
Right. Wow. So it's interesting that you said that our menstrual cycles are in alignment with the moon cycle, because when I started journeying into the Sacred Woman program that I now do, I realized that when my menstrual cycle came on the full moon, I basically turned into, Thriller, when Michael Jackson turned into the werewolf. I was like, everybody was like, oh. Back up. And then when I started doing like the things that you mentioned, which we're going to talk about, the steaming and journaling and switching certain foods that I ate around certain times and really monitoring it, I was able to switch my cycle from around the full moon to the new moon. And it was a complete different experience. And so I was just like, wow, that's amazing to like really now to become in tune with that process of ourselves, because, growing up, a lot of us as women, it's just like, here's your period, here's a pad, here's a tampon, this is how you have a baby. If you miss it, you're pregnant, and that's about it. That's like all the knowledge we receive. So you talked about having, I'm not talking to you, Google. It's okay, you don't need to understand. Google's but just that process of being in tune. So what's some things that you could recommend for women who just are not having that type of awareness, some things that they can do to just be more in awareness and in alignment of themselves, especially if they're experiencing these issues of fibroids and tumors and cysts and blockages, and they're having these issues?
Well, I think the first thing to first, there's an issue. There's always gonna be like something that you notice that your body is doing that you are trying to find out or try to get the pain away or something. So realizing that there's an issue. For instance, you may have stomach pains, and then that stomach pains end up to finding out that you have fibroids or cysts. And when you find out that you have something wrong inside of your reproductive system, you want to know, like, how do I get it to go away, basically, or what should I do? Or should I just listen, to doctor's orders about a surgery maybe? So there's alternative holistic methods that can help with certain situations that a woman have if it's not like too severe. So, first it starts with what we're eating. Find out if the food you're eating every day contributes towards the issue. And 9 times out of 10 is going to be what you put in your body is what you're feeding the issue. So, also known as what Dr. Sebi has said, all illnesses are made from mucus. Like it's just mucus buildup causing inflammation in the body. So with that part being said, you know, if we find out as women that there's something wrong with our reproductive system, it would be to first write about it. Write about how does that feel? Where's the pain coming from? And when do you feel that pain? And then write about what you ate today. Write about if you exercise or if you don't exercise. Begin to become your own observative person of what's going on, to analyze and make better judgments for yourself when it comes to like putting stuff in your body and treating your body. So any woman that has like issues with their body, that would be the first thing I would tell them, is to write about it, and then to also find out what you're eating to see if it contributes to it. Because like I said, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be what you're eating that will probably be contributing to the issue as well.
Right. Now, do you feel like having let's say, because now there's so many different labels. There's people are vegetarian, there's vegan, there's plant-based, there's raw, there's like so many variations. Would you say that, you know, one diet, say, is favorable in terms of the next one, in terms of correcting those issues through diet?
Okay, so I'm not going to say that there's one way to help an issue. Vegetables, I want to say living foods. So I don't want to just particularly just say vegetables, but like living foods and herbs seem to be what increases your immunity system, what boosts your immune system, and also help the healing of your body a little more faster, rather than eating foods that are cooked and non-living. So when it comes to living foods, I mean, you can't say that meat, fish, you can't say that those things are living, because you have to kill it before you cook it and eat it. Or maybe some raw extreme foodists out there that love raw meat, but you know, that would not be a way to go to start healing the body. Implementing, you know, vegetables and sprouts and herbs, those are all good things that's going to help boost the immunity system, to help the body to recover, to help it to heal. So if that's your focal point of trying to help yourself to be better, then I understand. But let's say you're healed now and you don't have the issue anymore, and you're moving on in your life, and that part is over with, and now you want to probably go back to the way you're eating now, that you were eating. If you do that, then you are you're opening yourself back up to experiencing some type of inflammation in your body. Now, doing it every day, that's a risk that you're taking. If you're going to do it once a week, like, you know, eat meats or fish or whatever, if you do it once a week, then okay, that's once a week. But my advice would be to make sure your greens, make sure your fruits is your larger portion than your meat. Because if that can outweigh the meat, then it won't be as much on your body. But that's just people who just can't do the vegan way or vegetarian way. If they can't do that, that would be my advice.
Okay, so the women that you work with, like, what are the most common issues that you see, you know, in our community? And, you know, what are some of the fears and concerns that people bring up to you, you know, when doing an holistic approach? Because a lot of times when we go to, say, the gynecologist or the doctors with these issues, it's just like, oh, hey, take this pill, or hey, do this surgery, or hey, you know, there's just some type of pharmaceutical or medical intervention. So when they come to you, you know, what is it that, you know, they can receive, and what is it, some of the things that, you know, you're able to assist with?
Mm-hmm. Well, we have probably about 500 something clients now, and each and every person is different. As far as when they come, I would say about maybe about 30% of the women out of that has came with issues with fibroids, cysts, PCOS issues, and very few with endometriosis. So the approach with that is right off back. I have to let them know that the first approach is changing the way you eat, because we already implement the modalities here at Love and Peace Wellness to help them with the stress factor, decreasing the stress factor through sound therapy and vaginal steaming and yoga and meditation. So we implement those things to help decrease the stress and also help them to align themselves with their goals. So the food factor is just the first largest and first foremost, the most important thing, and then stress will be the next thing. And we have different types of clients who just love their McDonald's, who loves their processed foods, who loves fried foods. And, the first thing we do is get them on a detox. After the detox, then we get them on the regimen with Super King or Super Queen. And then we, move on with the process with all of the modalities that we have here.
Awesome. Now talk about vaginal detoxing. We always talk about detoxing our bodies and, maybe for dietary purposes. And like, as you've stressed, the diet is reflective to what happens within our, wombs and our, just vaginal area. So what is a vaginal detox?
Okay, so a vaginal detox is implementing two things, or two ways. There's two ways to it. There's the insert of herbs that can go into the vagina when you insert the herbs into the vagina and you let it flow like a douche. And then that helps the vagina to detox. And then we also have the vaginal detox pearls, which are herbal tampons that you insert into the vagina. And that's a 3-day process for the herbal tampons. And then you wait for a purging process that takes anywhere from the 4th day, starting on the 4th day, to the 9th day. So in total, you're looking about 9 days total for the full detox process to happen. And that is when your old tissue cells, they come out of the vagina as the new tissue cells rejuvenate itself inside. And when mucus buildup, or you have mucus buildup, or you have old blood clots from your last period, it's inside and that comes out. It also helps to shrink the fibroids, the cysts. If you have multiple cysts or fibroids, it helps to shrink those things and to come out, while also tightening back the vagina.
Nice. And then while they're doing the vaginal detox, now, is that something that's also incorporated with the vaginal steaming, or is that a different process?
It's not to be done at the same time, at the same exact time. It's a process that's done separately. It can be done through the inserting of the vaginal detox with the herbal tampons can be done 3 days prior to the menstrual cycle, or it can be done after the menstrual cycle is over. And if you are looking to have a baby, you will have to do it 3 days prior to your period, because you don't want to do a vaginal detox while you're in the process of ovulating.
Okay, because that was my next question. When does someone go get a vaginal steam or a vaginal detox, and what are the kind of differences of, okay, you get a detox when this is happening, or you get a steam when this is going on?
Okay, so you can do vaginal steam. The closest is 3 days to your period, or you could do a vaginal steam right after your period, as long as if you're trying to conceive, then you want to do that before the 10th day of your ovulation cycle. So on day 1 is your first day of your period, and then you have all the way till day 10. So day 10 would be the beginning of your ovulation. And the peak of your ovulation would be on day 14, 15, 16, and then it dies back down. So you don't want to steam during those days, because if you do steam during those days, then you could risk yourself of not being able to actual conceive. So if you're going to do, like, for instance, a fertility steam, or just a regular steam, then you want to do it the day after your period up to the 10th day of your of your ovulation period, to be on the safe side. But if you're not trying to conceive, then you can still do your steam.
And then what about a vaginal detox? Is that something more like if you have issues, or is that something that you should just do as regular maintenance?
Well, regular maintenance for vaginal detoxing is once a month, I would say, and that's 3 days before your period, which is a great time to do it, because once your period has come, it's flushing everything out, and then you have, your detox from the vaginal detox happening at the same time, which is a good time because everything just flushes out all at the same time, and you need to allow yourself the 3 days for the herbal inserts for the vaginal detox pearls. But if, for instance, if you had an issue like cysts or fibroids or blocked fallopian tubes, then you would do the vaginal detox 2 times. Some people do it 3 times, but I don't recommend that. So 2 times I feel is enough each month if you have an issue.
Okay. All right, because I was going to say a lot of people now are catching on with the pearls and the steams, and I know there's just different information out there, and if you're getting just information from anywhere, what are the specific like do's and don'ts with it? I know we talked about the do's, so are there any like don'ts that people should be aware of?
Yes, there is. Thank you for asking that, because that is really important. Once women, okay, so when I send out the vaginal detox pearls, I also send a little booklet out that has instructions on how to use it and what to do and what not to do. So what not to do if you're doing a vaginal detox. The vaginal detox pearls, what not to do is, first, don't have sex. That's a big no-no, because you're releasing toxins and you can basically cause an infection in your womb, and the guy can also get an infection if you're having sex unprotected. Second thing, make sure once you pull out the pearls, don't put your finger inside and start pulling out the old tissue cells. What's happening inside of the vagina is that the pearls are inside of the vagina, and the old tissue cells are coming off the walls. So it's like if you fall and you get hurt and you get a scab on your hand or your knee or whatever, and it's like you're peeling off the scab, like taking off the old tissues. You're peeling that off, and the new tissue cells are not ready to be exposed. So you're supposed to allow the purging process to take place so that can happen on its own, or you can cause yourself like a slight thin rip in your tissue cells, and you don't want to do that. And that can also lead to some type of infection too. If your fingernails are sharp, or if your fingers are dirty, you don't want to just pull that out. Just allow for your vagina to secrete on its own, because the vaginal detox pearls also help increase the secretion, and it's going to create the new tissue cells, and then it'll just come right out on its own. Oh, yes. Another thing, if you have an IUD, I would not advise that you do a vaginal detox, because not only the vagina is releasing the old tissue cells, so is the uterus. And what's coming out of the uterus could be whatever blockage that's in the fallopian tubes, hardened mucus, or it can be old blood clots that's on the lining of the uterus coming out as well. And if you have a IUD in there, then that stuff could get stuck, or you can also dislodge your IUD all at the same time. So that's not a good thing for you to do if you're wanting to do a vaginal detox.
Now you also I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, not just if you have an IUD, that would not be good to do. and also, of course, not while pregnant. I mean, it should be obvious, but I'm just gonna say it for the record.
And I was gonna say, you talked about douching, and there's a lot of misconceptions about douching. Some people are like, yes, you should douche, and some people are like, no, don't douche. So you talked about douching. What is the proper way to do that, and how should we douche, and how often, and what should we be using to douche? Should we just go grab, Summer's Eve off the shelf and go douche? Like, what do we use to douche?
There are natural things that you can use, like chamomile with apple cider vinegar and water. That is a process that you can use where you take the chamomile and then you let it soak in the water and distill the water. And then you add your apple cider vinegar to the water, and you can strain out the chamomile and use just the water itself to use as a natural douche inside. And that helps with so many things, like with, if you have a little bit of irritation, or if you just want to like cleanse yourself out for the time being, you can do that. And that's a great thing to use for douching. But I don't use Summer's Eve because I remember one time having an issue with, I think it was a very long time ago. I was a teenager and I didn't know what a yeast infection was. I went to go get a Summer's Eve and I douched, and like it smelled all good and fresh, but then it was inflammation all after that, itching and everything. So I was like, oh my God. And I told my mom, and she was like, yeah, no, you just can't do that. Like that, you need to I need to take you to the doctors. So
No.
definitely the fragrance in it has caused a lot of people to have irritation on their vagina, or maybe even, give them a pH balance, an offset pH balance inside the vagina. So yeah,
Wow.
a natural dish is pretty good when it's all natural stuff.
And how often should women be douching? And when? Like, it should be, after your period, after sex, just whenever,
Okay, so there's a couple of things you could do it after your period. That's fine. The natural douche. After sex, I would recommend like a suppository, like a coconut oil suppository that has natural herbs with essential oils, like what is that? Tea tree, a little bit of tea tree oil in it, and some chamomile, like, something like that inside the herbs. There's some things that you can use after sex, so it doesn't leave like that odor, and it doesn't leave, all of his, come inside or whatever, that stuff could come out if you have a suppository. So if you don't have a vaginal suppository for that, then douching is fine as well. But every single time, like I would not advise that, because it's just best to allow your pH balance to be as natural and as natural as possible.
Right. Now, there's some women who have issues, say, after sex with they having, infection or itching or irritation or some things after that. Like, what do you recommend, or what's going on there with that?
Mm-hmm. You have yoni oils. There's yoni oils that like are available to you that you can use that helps with the itching. Coconut oil is one antibacterial oil that you can naturally use if you have any type of irritation. I know sometimes with the vaginal detoxing, some women experience an itching because they have yeast or BV like far in their uterus and didn't even know until the detox started happening, or they possibly could be having an allergic reaction or something, or maybe a reaction, just basically a reaction from it. And the coconut oil is a good way to like soothe that, to help it to go away, because it's a natural antibacterial, anti-fungal oil.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that information. I definitely want to switch the topic to
You're breaking up.
Oh, down my street. Okay, here we go. Can you
Okay,
hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So, what are some misconceptions that people have when, hiring a doula and about natural, holistic childbirth? Because I feel like childbirth is such now. It's something that we haven't been in tune with. I think as women, it's just like, oh, we get pregnant and we go to see our OBGYN for 9 months, and then we go to the hospital, and now cesarean sections are becoming like a really huge thing, and a lot of women don't want to go that route, or even if they do, go through have a natural childbirth within the hospital, there's just so much fear and medication, all this stuff being used. I remember I was traumatized in each one of my, pregnancy and childbirth experiences. So, what is it that you can tell women about, thinking about, holistic options in terms of childbirth?
Okay, so the holistic options is home births. If you're not able to do a home birth, there are birthing centers, and then there's the hospitals. But then you could just be ready and have a baby anywhere, which some people, fortunately that happens to them. They just end up having their baby just somewhere, like in a parking lot. But having a doula, well, first it's best to like get the word out as much as you can to women so that they can learn and educate themselves about what a doula is and what a doula does. And doulas are there for the emotional and mental support. And yeah, so they're there for like mental and emotional support. So if, for instance, if you are going through things with your doctor, or you don't understand what's going on and you just need more information, seeking a doula or even doing the research yourself is something that, will help you cope through those things. And even with knowing the information, a doula is just there like to emotionally help you, support you, coach you. And even when you're home having the actual labor for your birth, it just feels good to have that support, knowing that there's another woman who can actually understand exactly what you're going through, how to be easy with you, where she would need you to like push you a little bit harder, just to coach you through the process. Is all good to have a doula. And having a doula helps decrease the stress, because a lot of women, they get afraid and they get scared because maybe they've just been told that their uterus is not big enough to hold their child, so they need like a clamp, or maybe they have blood condition and not sure what's going to happen. So like, just to like help alleviate the stress and help to understand these type of processes more are all good things and the reasons why you should have a doula.
Right. So I know doula is sort of like a new term for a lot of people. I know that a lot of people sometimes are familiar with the term midwife. Is it the same thing? And how does it differ from, say, your traditional OBGYN?
Mm-hmm. So for Florida, doulas cannot catch the baby when the baby comes out. A midwife is the one who does that. So it's basically putting a certificate, a license on that. And also like a midwife is there to make sure that, if you're not at high risk. So if you're not at high risk, that's good, because a doula is to help prevent some of those issues for you at being at high risk with stress. And then the midwife is there to help make sure she's checking on you monthly, make sure, or how often they're supposed to check. But the midwife is there to help bring the baby into the world, to sew you back up, to, get the placenta out, and to do those things. But the doula is there for the emotional and physical support, and also an assistant to the midwife.
And someone said, how do you get a midwife?
Mm-hmm. So there's a couple of ways that you can become a midwife, in which I'm in the process myself right now. One of the process is direct entry. And direct entry basically is having the experience as a doula and breastfeeding. having some references and getting into direct entry program. And then you have the other way, which is, well, you have a couple other ways, but those both ways are through being a nurse. So if you have nursing experience and you want to become a midwife, they have the certified nurse midwifery programs that you could take, which I'm going to be going through direct entry because I've been like a doula for a while. So that's the way that I'm going to take, because I actually don't want to go through nursing school and have to be on the floor at a hospital and do it that way. And I feel like my hands-on experiences with so far 11 pregnancies and births so far has been the best experience that I've had in different types of pregnancies, because they all haven't been the same. I've had a cesarean, have had, hospital births, home births, and, so it's been a mixture for me with those experiences, but that was my route of going. So those are the routes that you can go. You can go through nursing school and then to your specialty, and that will. So there's two things with that. With the nursing midwifery, you have a little more leeway in some states, because they will, if you become a practitioner, then you can administer certain drugs, and you can also write certain prescriptions. So because I'm not trying to administer certain drugs, that's my way of going, is through the direct entry program, because I'm trying to stay more natural in the holistic way as possible.
And I think also that comment was two-sided, how if they were interested in receiving a natural childbirth and maybe hiring a doula or midwife, obviously we'll leave your contact information because you're a doula, but how else can they search to say, okay, how do I access getting a midwife or a doula? Like you said, I think you mentioned birthing centers earlier.
Yes, I've partnered with a couple of ladies with the birthing center here in Florida, in Hollywood, and just to let them know that, hey, I'm a doula. If your clients need a doula, I'm here to assist. Just to let them know that I am available, and to just connect with them, because I right now am going through my studying process of actually becoming a midwife, and I just need like that bridge of support. So when it comes to, if somebody comes here and they need to get a midwife or they want a midwife, I have resources and connections to midwives, and also birthing center that has midwives.
Awesome. And then we have your contacts right there. So what are some of the misconceptions you think people have when it comes to saying having, a home birth versus, the traditional way of going to, well, actually, I don't even think that's the traditional way. I think the traditional way has been the home birth, that it became the hospital. Now we're going back to that. So what is some of the misconceptions you think women have when it comes to, staying at home to have their childbirth at home?
I think it's just education. Not having the education of what it looks like to have a home birth rather than going into the hospital, because some women, they're uneducated on what a doula is and if you can have your child at home. Some people just don't want to have their child at home, and that's understandable. But like you said, going back to traditional birthing is having your child at home. And, it's been done for so many centuries, for so long. And now, they built a hospital because of some women that have high risk. So, to decrease that, it takes a lot of village effort. The father, the mother, the doula, like you have to have a good support foundation, and the doula comes in to help educate you on these things so that you can choose to have that birth at home. Now, they don't have a midwife could bring so much things to home with you. If you are a high risk mom, then you may need to go to the hospital. If you need to do a cesarean, they're going to take that to the hospital, because a midwife doesn't do cesareans at home. They're not going to do that. So vaginal births would be something that they would do. And if it's high risk, then, of course, that would have to be the hospital. But
Right.
having a home birth is such a beautiful experience to have, so that you can be able to preserve the placenta on the baby as the baby come out, or basically just hold your baby if you want to hold your baby, not having to worry about them drugging your baby if you don't want them to have vaccines, things like that. It all plays like a large role and factor into having a home birth.
Right, because I know from my own experience, I was considered high risk in all my pregnancies. And my first birth was a cesarean, and then after that, I didn't want to have a cesarean. But like I said, because I had a high risk, I had to go back to the hospital, and they were like, "Oh no, you have to have another."
You're breaking up. My connection is bad.
All right, here I am. Yes, my children.
I'm so sorry. I hear you breaking up really bad. Makiba? I think we lost you.
Dreams to pick.
Hello? Are you there? Okay. Okay.
All right.
All right. So we're back. I hear you now.
Yeah, we're having some connection issues with the multiple streaming happening at the house. But
okay.
What I was saying was, I think it's very important to have a doula, because if I had a doula, I wouldn't have to fight so much of the medical staff in terms of what I wanted for my pregnancies at the hospital. So, like you said, just having that support and having that education, I think is very important for women to have, just to educate themselves through the process and their rights during that childbirth. The hospital puts so much stress on you, and it's like that's counterproductive.
Right. Yeah, and it's crazy that you say that, because like for Black women or colored women specifically, it's been that, like it's been not a fair share of how they would treat a woman, with their pains or their issues, or if they want to know more information about certain processes that are happening to them, instead of a short response, your voice can be heard more when they see that you have the support, which a lot of times Black women or colored women, they don't get that much support. And through years of the broken down process, like of slavery, it's been just the Black mom alone in the hospitals, and people have grown accustomed to that, to the weight of that, and just treated colored women just any type of way.
Right.
And it's not fair. So like with the doula, and I'm pretty sure every doula would be an educated doula to understand these processes and to help educate the woman and assist her with, what does this test mean? Should you have to take it? Should you not have to take it? If you do, how would it affect you? Okay, we just learned that you have this. Okay, so let's try to decrease your stress so you don't, have to seek these seek having high risk issues, or let's try to prevent these type of ways. At least that way, you're not alone. You have that support.
Exactly. Because if I felt like if I had some of the support, especially with my first pregnancy and having a cesarean, that was super traumatic.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
The next one, that was even more traumatic because they were like, oh, well, you have to have another cesarean. I was like, I don't want another cesarean. No. That's when I started educating myself, on the process. And I had a whole birth plan that I wrote out, and they were just like laughing at it and like, you can't do this, and this is a joke, and da 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 da. So basically I had to leave and wait until like the baby was right there. And even then still, like, it was such a battle to just get them to respect what I wanted from my child. And then by the third pregnancy, I didn't even go. It was just like I went when it was like the last minute, and then it was just horrible. So
yeah, and like it makes you want to just wait until the last minute because like you don't want no problems.
Yeah. So I don't recommend that to people, but that was just because I did not have, like a doula, or saying it was just me and my husband. And it was like, even with the second pregnancy, they were trying to kick him out. It was like, can you not, like, that's my only support here, standing against you guys, and it was just ridiculous. So by the third one, I was just like, forget all of that. We'll go when I know I'm going to give birth, and that's it.
So. Yeah. And, fortunately, some women may not get to have all of those experiences, but like, knowing what its time feels like, to be educated on what time it feels like to have the baby, or what things should you be seeing, or what should you be expecting when the baby is about to come soon. And that would have been good for you to have had a doula, all of those times, honestly, because the first babies, like, you're like, you don't even know what to expect. You're nervous. You're freaking out about everything. And then almost everything you hear, you believe.
That's exactly what happened. They were just like, oh, roll you into the, C-section room. I was like,
it was like, what? How did I get here? Yeah.
So
and it's always possible to have a vaginal baby after a cesarean. So, a lot of times when they hear that, oh, you had a cesarean, oh, you need to have cesarean again. No, that's not the only way. It's possible that you can have what they call a VBAC baby, a vaginal birth after cesarean. So we can do that.
So I encourage everybody, know your rights, get a doula. You could fight. It was a fight for me, but we were able to, have our birth plan executed even within the hospital. But definitely, in hindsight, I would have gone a whole other route.
And see, when when it's like stressful inside of the hospital room, because now we're on the grounds of medical. In the hospital, women need to feel like at ease, with the straps over them and everything. They feel like they're like bound to the bed, and you have the right to get up. You can get up. You can move around if you want to. You can do all these things to help you relax or to help alleviate the pain. Like, for instance, like some of the things that I take, would be like aromatherapy. Like, I have a lady, she likes aromatherapy, so that's like one thing that I keep in my bag is like the oils, and then I have like the sounds of the balls to help with like some sound. And then I just want to share really quick the other things I have for like my bag, chapstick for like breathing, and then rollers to help with alleviate some of the tension in the body to help relax and body pain, and then oils to rub and massage the back because you're always getting like pain, in the lower back and your shoulders, you're just tired. So just all those things, and rebozo, have a rebozo. So those are all good things to like help assist while the active labor is going on, whether you're home or at the hospital, to help, alleviate the stress and breathing together. So it's like been one of my favorite things to do with the mommy when going through the
Okay.
process. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I wish I had all of that. Time, because it was really like it felt like going into war. Like I'm have to. First time was super traumatic because I didn't know anything. The last two times I was like, all right, I got to get ready to fight these people. So it was some incredible stuff. But even with like the birthing positions, can you talk about that more? Like, how you are able, because if you watch videos of like home birth, you see the women kneeling and the women squatting when they're giving birth versus in the hospital where they're on their back. So maybe we could just talk about some of
Yeah, so that's
the
that's
benefits.
what I was saying. Like in the hospital, you could get up, you could move around. If you wanted to walk, you can do that. That's your right. Like you're utilizing the hospital, and the hospital is not utilizing you. Like you're choosing a hospital, they're not choosing you. So you can get up and you can move around. We have gravity that comes down on us, and we need to allow nature, regular gravity, to just allow the baby to push down. So sitting up, leaning over, those are all good ways to help the pressure of the baby to come down. And those are like just perfect positions. And even hanging on the side of a bed, or, at the hospital or at home, those are really good ways of helping. Or kneeling over the peanut ball. Those are all good things to help with like the process of active labor.
Right. Now, someone asked how painful is. This is different. Now, do you feel like women who are able to have births at home, or say even water births, like the different type of birthing experience, is it, because sometimes that's a myth. Is it true that there's less pain if you give birth at home, or less pain in a water birth?
No, I think it's all in it. Okay, first, pain is in the mind, and then the mind reacts to the body's like pain that we're going through. So, you can stub your toe in the morning and that hurts. Giving birth, yes, it hurts. It's set to hurt. It does hurt. But if you do certain things like sitting in water, or hear running water and running water on your belly, dancing, bouncing side to side, like these are certain things that help just you to go into your mental space of peace, your sanctuary of peace, to just be able to embrace it and to be able to push that baby out, like allow your body to do its natural thing and let the body push it out. Sound therapy, that's something that we offer through active labor. So if we're in a hospital, or if we're, at home births, Peace, the sound therapist here at Love and Peace Wellness, we go together as a unit to offer sound therapy for active labor. So sound is good. Aromatherapy, maybe the smell brings you somewhere to like just heighten your mind to a different place where you don't feel the pain as much. Just different things. That's why I keep a bag full of things to help the mom. And also prior to that, just help them with the process to get to that point, to be able to learn how to take that pain through breathing. So like the process here at Love and Peace Wellness for the doula packages, I offer how we do the meditation, basically it's hypno affirmations, meditations, sound, dynamic stretching. All of these things come together to help prepare the mom for giving birth. So when she's feeling the pain, I'm there with her, help coaching her through the breath. So as we breathe in, we become what they call the pain or the contraction. And then it's like you capturing that in your breath and exhaling that pain out. So, these are like little concepts that I use to help them go through it.
Well, give thanks for sharing your knowledge. Guys, the website is there, Love and Peace Wellness Center. If you are local in Florida, that is the address, 2451 North State Road 7, where you can definitely meet up with Love for all her wound care services, her doula services, and Peace, which we had on a couple weeks ago with the sound therapy. Definitely check them out. Do you have any last words for the people?
All I want to just say is watch what you eat, drink lots of water, make sure you move your body a lot. And don't forget to stop here at Love and Peace Wellness. We have so much to give, so much to offer. And yep, that's it. And may divine carry you all gracefully on your journey.
All right. Well, give thanks for being on the show, sis.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. And we'll definitely chat again. So that's it for our show today, folks. Definitely get at Love and Peace Wellness Center right here in Lauderhill, Florida. That's their website. They have a slew of products online to assist with the wound care, detoxing, yoni eggs, yoni pearls, everything that you need for your feminine health and male health too. So we didn't even get into that. That's going to be a next show. But definitely that's the website. Check them out. And again, if you're local, that is the address right there on State Road 7. They always have yoga classes, sound therapy classes, healing circles, just a lot of different things for the community, doing such great work. So until next time, family, stay well, be well, cultivate life. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. New shows coming every week on Facebook and YouTube, and pretty soon to IG Live. So stay tuned for that. Alrighty, that is it.